maybe we could do that.
It's not very expensive.
No, it was,
80,000 for
it
4
was
years?
just, it was probably from ship relocations type of things, but, and we thought maybe that was a good way to get by.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, fine.
Hello. I can't get
Are we-
the
are
Wi-Fi
we
here.
good?
We are good.
So we don't have anyone else at this point.
We don't.
Should we?
3-foot pink hurricane beat up some parent trying to get on the bus. Oh, it was hilarious. The father was trying to get, it must be a kindergartner dressed in, pink snowsuit and everything, and that kid was. Until he finally caught her. And then she just dead weighted him.
Oh, he went.
I just sat there for probably 3 or 4 minutes while the bus had everybody stop just laughing, because I'm like, I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Backpack flying, everything.
So we'll open the meeting.
Here we are.
All right. I'd like to call the February 7th, 2025 City of Geneva IDA meeting to order. Can we review the mission statement? If you have it right there. Nice.
I'm getting text messages from people from Miles unable to join. Frustrating. We may discuss, we have stuff. We could try to schedule another meeting later.
Sure.
But let's talk through where we're at and
Well, we could, the first administrative stuff, there are motions, so we should just skip that. And I see Miles is not on the phone.
yeah, he just messaged that he's not going to be.
Okay, so now we're down to agenda items. GEC committee, we don't really have much to report there.
I can just speak to the final report. I went
Or
through
did you
it.
go through that?
Yeah,
Good.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Couple of things that little bit of criticism. When you look at it, it seems like it wasn't fully edited. There are some, when you want the summary of cost, and one of the earliest exhibits, everything is red, yellow, or green, and those, it's like traffic signal. What's green is it's in decent shape and you can live with it. Yellow is watch for it. You get better fix things as soon as possible. And red is
Critical. Yeah.
take care of it right away. So I'm looking for the chart that gives you the summary and it was empty. I just didn't see the costs associated with the certain categories. Then when you get into the charts, some are interesting and informative. Others are a little weak. And a lot of the chart sections that says last large improvement, like for plumbing, it seemed to be, all of them were 1999 with an exclamation or a question mark afterwards. So and that to me is, as old as I am, seems like that's fairly current. Something should be lasting, like the boilers. If they were done in 1999, why aren't they still workable?
Yeah.
So it was a little lacking in specific information I was kind of looking for. The only system that is green is electrical service. Seems like the utility company that supplies power to the building has been good, and there's probably 12 Sanborn maps in there, which don't mean a lot to a normal user. We used to look at them to see the history of an area and how in a city and how water supply and fire companies were handling how they took care of buildings. Sometimes there's pretty neat handwritten descriptions of what was done in 1907, 1915, 1927, that kind of thing. A lot of those, a lot of photographs at the end with no captions. So I didn't, I guess there's 208 pages in it. And I would say half of those pages were extraneous to me.
Yeah.
A little disappointed, but then I got into the potential for grants, and only a few seem to apply to us, and a lot of them required 50%
Or more.
matching
Or more, yeah.
or more, and I didn't see how we could match it, where we would get the funds to match the grants. So I was a little lacking in certain things.
Can we maybe set up a meeting, the three of us are on that committee?
Yeah.
Aside from Webster, without Webster,
Yes,
and maybe have her, we can do a Zoom call or something. That would, yeah, mornings are better for you, or are you okay right now, this off season?
Whatever.
Uh,
yeah, she actually responded with a couple days that she could meet, so I just want to get that open.
I mean, it'd be good to kind of address some of his concern, Lowe's concerns and some things about the funding, where did it look like she said she was going to show us the targeted funding for those specific projects. Was that included? No.
Not in the way that I had hoped.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the first draft. It just was kind of these generalized grants that
Mhm.
anyone can apply for.
Right.
Very limited.
Not really developed into projects that we.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
I just gets the sense, because I used to do this kind of thing, and if you try and win a project on fee, and then you load it with 10 engineers all in one day, 1 or 2 days, you blast it out and then you stop. So because the budget's gone. So I have a sense that they did the best they could. I know she went over budget. I talked to her about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm on another board, the library, and they were shortlisted. And I talked to her. And she said, we're just doing the best we can.
Yeah, so that's part of why it's short. You get what you pay for.
Yeah,
So I think,
she said she's available on next Friday.
okay,
That would work for me. Is it morning or afternoon better for you guys?
More, it has to be morning.
Morning.
morning's good. Okay.
Schedule that with her.
So we just set up a Zoom call and do it remotely. I think it's easier. It's easier
Yeah.
for me if I don't have to leave the office.
Yeah, she may be able to just adjust some of the things that I saw. She could plug in some numbers just so it's there.
Yeah, and yeah,
I don't want to be too tough on it because this is a big project.
Yeah, but we need it to be useful.
yes. So then the would beg the question, do we need to extend the contract to give her a little bit of money to finish it up? Or,
That would be something we could ask, yeah.
I mean, is there, what would it take to get the information to get to, we understand. I mean, they did a lot of work, and 15,000 wasn't a lot of money, I didn't think originally.
Yeah.
And some of the detail, they went into a lot deeper than I thought they would. But then I think what you say, they just kind of use it up and, okay, here's what you get.
Right.
But maybe we could true that up and just ask, and then we can bring it to the board to see if it's worth spending the additional, whatever, $5,000 or whatever it is to complete the stuff.
Okay, yeah, we can discuss that with her.
If you want to set that up with her, that's good.
Great.
Yeah, I think there's some things, for me, I'm interested only because housing is such a big brouhaha now, is determining what it would take to convert some of that building to housing. And then we've got the Geneva Housing Authority that could help with, managing and taking care of it, but maybe only a section of it becomes the incubator, maybe the newer section where banner doors and stuff like that. Divide off the city, keep the city where, because I don't see them building a new building.
Yeah,
Or if not, then,
Right.
that would change the plans for us, but I don't see it happening right away. And then just see what it would take to utilize the rest of the space. There's not that much in there right now, but would be in the way, even if we relocate them somehow. But
yeah.
Mr. County man.
Yes.
Is there anything that we can discuss about the county's involvement in this project? I mean, we're looking at, we talked about applying for some other money to fix that up or to make it viable. I mean, really no investments have been made in there other than repairs for over 20 years, maybe 25, 30 or 99.
Seems to be.
It's probably a worthy discussion with the EDC, see what level of involvement. I think they're gonna wanna obviously look at the report and find out what you wanna attack first.
Well, I guess, I think what would be helpful for me anyway is they have like a plan for it. All right, this is what we're gonna do, and this is what we think is viable, and then have some data either from CNH or CNS or something to back it up that this would be a way to develop the property. What I would, before we kind of develop that idea, it'd be good to say, he could what you think or what your department would think about what would be a good direction. What do you see? I mean, we can talk to the impact it might have for Geneva, but how does it fit into the little bit, the county's plans for what you would be involved with in Geneva?
I think if housing is a goal for a portion of the building, then it's worth a conversation with the county ad hoc committee. And maybe we can start to try to match developer to building. We could certainly do that. We can do that regardless of which way you want to go.
I mean, the other thing would be to continue with the incubator model where we fix up the building so we would have space to rent like we kind of started with, but I mean, I think our history with renting the space is because we've darned near given them away. And that's why we have tenants, as soon as we start to talk to them about market rate, there's other spaces, other places, other community, not Geneva, around that they can get, better space.
Yeah.
For market rate. So it's a tough, it's supposed to bring people, it really hasn't brought people. I think the majority of the spaces, people are looking for space that's cheap.
But it's not all that much unlike the tech farm, right? They bring people in, they end up staying there forever, which wasn't exactly the way it was supposed to work.
Exactly.
You might catch lightning in a bottle once or twice every once in a while, but that's a tough sell to invest in.
Yep.
But I think both the IDA and the EC would be interested to see what you guys want out of it and see how we can help you do it.
Okay. All right.
Because I think it's in everybody's best interest to see that building
Sure.
get its
I guess
highest
I see.
value, right?
And
The hard part with my department right now, as currently configured, is capacity.
sure.
That's why we're doing a strategic plan now, so we can figure out how to build
Okay.
capacity.
All right, we'll take it a next step further with the engineering firm and just see if we can kind of get this in focus a little bit. I mean, it's a little fuzzy to me right now.
Yeah.
What we should be doing. And we could, I think we should set up that meeting, then I'll be in touch.
There's probably pockets of money somewhere if you're looking at housing. It's just finding the right investor.
Sure.
Yeah, and
It's tough sell with the city using a portion of the building. It's gonna want to live there. So there's a lot.
we also have 3 substantial size housing projects in the works right now.
Okay, which might take care of the need. So the market might be there.
I don't know that the market, I mean, I think the county as a region, we have a huge housing need. But 3 projects that are looking at locations now or that are in early development stages would all go after the same major funding source.
Yeah. So there might be a limit to that, sure.
Yeah, I don't think that Ontario County would get more than one a year
Sure.
award for that funding source, the LIHTC program.
Yeah.
9%, you know, I know when I worked in Tompkins County, we were pulling out all the stops. We were giving projects money up front to get them more competitive in the state review of that program. And when I met with the state and said, like, what can we do? We have all of this backlog. How can we get more projects? And I said, you're never getting
Yeah.
2 in a year.
Yeah.
It's 1 a year. We have to spread them around the state.
Yeah.
We love your projects. They're great. They always happen, but we're only giving you 1 a year.
It's the allocation. Yeah.
And for my department anyway, the next 2 years are gonna be all vacant rental improvement all the time, right? That's a big chunk and we have to spend that money in 2 years. So it's 30 different properties
Yeah.
and Sue and I,
You guys running it internally?
we're gonna hire a consultant, but the RFPs just came back and it looks like we'll be running more of it internally than we thought, maybe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the
planning department's already upset with me because I give them a lot of work that they didn't expect.
I think the hook for housing at the Americana would be, it would be unusual spaces, you know, very like artist loft type stuff. And, you know,
Yeah.
instead of just, you know, run of the mill, not run of the mill, standard housing, I shouldn't say that. That was judgmental on my part. But it could be, you know, with the skylights and stuff like that, could be really interesting types of living spaces.
Yeah.
That might be marketable, but again, there's need for a critical mass for that type of thing. And
Yeah.
all of which maybe they could help us with. Kristen, thank you for coming. How'd your meeting go?
Good.
Good.
So, yeah, WGVA, the wall and the mix. So
Good.
I hop from one station to the next to
Nice.
talk about what's happening downtown.
Great. Well, we do have a quorum now.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back up to the administrative things. As everyone had a chance to look at the agenda. Kind of went forward on it. Any additions, anything else you want to add to the agenda? You see it?
I didn't see anything. I'm featured in there 2 times, so that's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. Okay, the December minutes were in the packet. Is there like a motion to approve those minutes? No, answer any corrections? Lowell, RJ, anything in there that you saw? There's a couple typos, but I don't think they're not significant.
Okay, you can just let Nicole know.
Yeah. All in favor? I have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Aye. Okay, motion passed. The financial report, David, you want to go through that, or do you want to just show that till Adam is available?
What I'd really like is to take questions, if you have questions on it, for me to convey to Adam. But he also said he can put out a more full report.
Okay, well,
We met with Irene and kind of, she developed a page of questions of things that she wanted us to look more deeply in, that Adam's been working on. So one of those things was working more with Webster on some clarifying, like exactly what happens with when rent comes in, where does it go? How does the distribution happen because they get a percentage of all of the rent. And that has been a little opaque. And she was interested in really clarifying that. The other things on there were just double checking on our investment accounts and the mortgage, which I actually can share with you. I didn't put it in the packet because I don't really think it should be public, the transaction by transaction ledger for Webster from like our bank account printout. So you can see it's our account that they manage is paying the mortgage. So I don't know why it doesn't show on the GDC P&L, but it is coming out of the GDC.
their cash flow. Okay. Yeah, I would think that it should be there, but
Yeah.
let's, all right, so we'll let Adam, finish that up then. Anyway. Okay, and then, we do have, David, why don't you discuss about the transfer of the, funds to cover the shortfall at the GDC?
Yes, so our adopted budget has the GEDC at a loss of $14,000 for the year. Which means they're bringing in money, it's going out. We had a shortfall this month or at the beginning of the year. It was made up for by the city prepaying the kitchen lease for the year. So the city leases the kitchen from us and then leases it to FLX Hospitality. That's something that I actually set up last year, is just paying once, because it actually costs us money to process 12 invoices. You know, we have 3 staff people who touch it. It's like a waste of everyone's time. So just pay it once. But that also helps with the cash flow at the beginning of the year. But that's a stopgap. We are going to run out of money in those operating accounts. And so the suggestion was that we should transfer 20,000 into operating so that there's the 14,000 we expect to need and a little bit of cushion just to smooth out cash.
You know, would come out of our, money market account.
Yes.
Was that, there's 78 or something like that in there. Okay. Do you want to make a motion, David? Or-
I can't make a motion.
Okay,
I would like someone to.
Make the motion to transfer
Transfer the funds out of the money market account into the operating account. $20,000 to cover the shortfall and have some cushion.
to the Webster operating account.
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Webster operating.
Okay, any questions, discussions? You're good?
Just one thing, if we got into a bind like this, we didn't have the funds to transfer and it's, we're starting to lose money.
Mhm,
One of the big tenants is the city
mhm.
and, I know it's odd, but would we consider raising the rent to match what we need?
They have a lease.
At least.
I mean, it seems to me that we could negotiate that. I mean, it's all for the better good.
Yeah,
If they want to stay there, if they're getting an incredible bargain, why? No. So anyway,
So
maybe the tough conversation should happen. Otherwise, we'll be doing this more often than we want to.
I agree. Can we still try and negotiate with them for, like, have a plan to negotiate with the city to cover this shortfall? Even if we I agree with transferring the funds. Like, we don't wanna not have them there, but if we can increase the rent from the city for that $14,000 to make up over the course of the year to make up for the shortfall. I mean, that's
that would
not-
be close to doubling the city's rent.
It's
I
a,
know.
What is the rent now? I'm sorry.
I think it's about $1,700 a month,
For how many square feet?
well, even the 31,
30,000.
and that's understated from the survey we did.
Yeah.
I think it's closer to 35,000.
So I mean, the other things that are involved there, I am pushing hard on making sure that bills that are repairs to that space, like the bill that we just had for sprinkler repair in there, that we're not paying that. They're supposed to maintain the space. So they just paid $15,000 for sprinkler repairs, which is still a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
The next thing is, this report calls for demolishing
Is that part of
the
the
brick
rent?
building. It's not super clear that it is, but considering that they're the sole user of the space and they're the ones that abandoned it,
Are they responsible for the demolition? Arguably.
I think arguably, and that's gonna be
Yeah,
$500,000
something.
probably. So I don't,
Yeah, I'm okay with them paying for the demolition of the building and we don't raise the rent by.
All right, so, well, do we have a motion on the floor? I agree. We should make some different, I mean, this will take care of a shortfall, which isn't immediate, by the way. It's like, we'll snot it.
By the end of our.
Yeah.
our year, yeah,
How much was the total kitchen lease they paid then for the year?
21,000. And this year, I know the IDA doesn't have to care, but the city's actually not losing money on that lease because there's an escalator in the tenant's lease and an escalator in the city's lease.
Yes,
And the city's escalator was slightly slower than the tenant's escalator. So I think 2 years ago, the tenant paid less than the city paid,
right,
but now they pay more.
right.
Good, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was the second?
I second it.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, so passed. All right, I'm sure we did the G. Okay, awards committee.
Oh. This is
Any
the,
progress or since the last meeting?
um, I'm ready to fund it myself.
Yeah.
If we can, it isn't that much money, and I'm just trying to find some support from the building department to give me some ideas on, there's 4 categories, and all based on residential, commercial, and different evaluations of the properties. So under 200,000, over 200,000 on residential value of a house that's being improved. Commercial is 400,000 plus or less. So there's 4 categories. I just asked the code enforcement office to help me out with this, just give me some ideas. And was really progressed and done great work in the last year. And I get crickets, so I look frustrated there.
Can you talk to Neil? You want me
Why
to?
don't we schedule a meeting with Neil? I think that's a.
I walk in to see him a couple of times and
Yeah,
he knows he's busy.
yeah, I think getting something on the calendar with me, you and him
Okay,
would be a way to
it's
do it.
pretty straightforward,
Yeah,
just, and maybe the other people that are in the inspection, code enforcement office. Why not just have maybe 3 or 4 people total?
Okay.
Give me a half an hour and we're good. I can go and take a look if we can get inside. I can, it's not hard. I do have a couple of companies lined up, locals that would participate, close, have materials.
great.
All right, so that'll be our action item today is to try to get a meeting with Neil.
Neil and just all 3 code officers.
Yeah, if they're available.
Probably do that.
I think it'd be kind of a fun meeting.
Yeah,
They would, I'm sure they would be excited about the idea.
do you have any thoughts about when we would want to do this in spring? Do we want to do it
As soon as
March,
possible.
April?
Yeah, if I can identify commercial and residential great improvements, I have a little committee, Scott and Mark and we would go take a look, talk to people, make sure it's okay with them.
Uh-huh.
If we like what they've done. And then write up a couple of paragraphs about each one, photographs, that kind of thing,
Mhm.
pretty
Give
quick.
them the paper.
Yeah.
And
And then
get Jan
just have an award thing with a plaque. What we could post on the building if they want it. I've got one on my row house that's kind of buildings of distinction, that's kind
Yeah.
of neat to have a plaque.
Okay, so you think March or April?
We'd have to hustle, but
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, and maybe, oh, sorry, she's not on this, I was gonna say, Jan Regan's really good at getting press. I could talk to her if she's willing to, because the LDC was interested if they can help push this in any way. They thought it was a really cool idea. She's on the LDC. So maybe she could help with publicity when it's all ready to go.
Jan's on.
Yeah,
it.
she's on the.
Jan's on. ours.
I was agreeing with you too. I just feel like it's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Well, too many boards.
Two boards, yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I wanted to actually talk to her about, we had the conversation with Webster. We aren't getting the rents that we need to cover, what are you doing to increase our, lease up? Both in the dollars we get per lease and the number of leases. And their suggestion was, do you have someone on your board who could help with marketing? We had originally, I think when we chose them, that was part of the deal, is that they were supposed to do a lot of marketing, and
Correct.
they kind of put it on their website.
And they say that they do that, but it's kind of partial stuff.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
very.
I think they had a partnership with a marketing firm that was in the area that left for Rochester, that was involved with Port 100.
Marine Shoes across the street. They're at the Port 10,
100.
Port 100, yeah.
Yeah. So that may be something to consider. I know she's doing a lot of marketing stuff related to the reuse, Geneva Reuse nonprofit that's working on getting started up. Maybe she could help more with that as well.
We should, we could talk to her about that, sure. All right, RJ nominating committee, we don't have really any report there.
No. Asking people you may know.
Catherine, do you know anyone that you would think would work well? I mean, you're on the other board too. They have to be a resident. And we've had to ask a few people to step down.
Yeah, everybody that I can think of it's City of Geneva resident, yes.
Yeah.
We're a small city.
Yeah,
It might be something to think about. We're 7. We could probably be less.
Yeah.
We just
did that with
reduced the
the
planning board and
building-
the BZA. to
Planning
5.
board and the zoning board just reduced the head count
Yeah,
because of that. We're having trouble with
Right.
people showing up.
yep. Yeah, they used to be 9, which was more than the state allows, and so they reduced it to 7, and then we're reducing to 7, why don't we just do 5? You're only required to have 5.
Yeah. Seems like we should have a bigger group.
It's good to have more people.
Because we're
Connection.
Decide on financial things.
Yeah.
I mean, some things I think a smaller group are better. You can get more things done quicker or whatever. But I think because of what we're doing, our mission is kind of sensitive,
Mhm.
like to spread out the responsibility.
Yeah,
I know somebody,
well, and that's the thing,
one of my ideas.
so I know somebody who's a real estate agent, he's young, he's local. But
Okay.
as far as understanding how, so I'm hesitant always to recommend anyone because I've had it bite me a few too many times.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy to ask him if he'd like.
Well, we
to put
could,
his name
I mean,
forward for an
RJ's
interview.
and there was some applications, but apparently nothing current. Oh, we have to just kind of do a outreach ourselves, which is what we typically have done before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I will ask the bank. I can,
yeah, that would be great.
um,
And Ryan's gonna connect us on it too.
yeah, good. I think we should, this year, try to close that gap. The BID contract, I thought we approved that.
So I need to.
Is this
rework
another
it.
one? Oh,
Yeah, I need to
okay.
rework it so that it's about economic development. not
That's
about
right.
staffing.
That's right. I read that right.
Unfortunately, I have not done that, so
Okay.
I'll have to wait till next week.
Yeah, because we can cover salaries, correct? That's what Steve
Yeah.
mentioned to us. Okay.
That we need to have a service contract rather than just.
Correct. And you certainly
Do a lot of
the
it.
bid does services that we benefit from, so I don't see why it's not even a stretch. It's
No,
pretty
It's not.
reasonable, just a rewording. Okay. Director's report, do you have anything to report before we go into executive session?
I do. There's some exciting stuff going. Just Wednesday, the city council scheduled public hearings for next month on sales of city-owned property. I've been really working to show developers around Geneva, get people interested. And we have offers that would bring 60 to 75 unit housing development to the Foundry site.
Wow.
A 90+ unit project to the OEO site, 8 Habitat for Humanity homes, and at least 3 market rate new homes on Middle Street. So those developers will give presentations towards the end of this month. We're still trying to schedule them. And then there'll be a public hearing at the March council meeting, and
And they are all empty lots at this point, right?
Yes.
It sounded like what
Yep.
you just described was all vacant.
Yep.
And city owned, yeah,
Yep.
so untaxed, that's
Yeah.
right.
so that we get them on the tax rolls.
In some of
For
them,
us to consider, both of the larger housing projects would need a pilot.
yes, right, they qualify. for-
Yes.
Okay, good. That's good.
So they'll be working out those deals. The kind of standard thing that a lot of those companies are looking at is the way the pilot's structured is a flat rate per apartment, so that every apartment would pay $500 property tax a year. So with that estimate, you're looking at for the Foundry, $25,000 to $30,000 a year in new revenue, pilot revenue. And the OEO site one, that we put out an RFQ for a preferred developer. So the city will be working with that developer, assuming they approve it, which I think they will. It's a good team. Taylor the Builders, Hunt Engineering, and Greenleaf Builders working together with Pivotal, which is like an investment partner.
That's great. That's good. That's good news.
So it's all new construction. Right?
Yep.
It's good.
If someone that isn't as big as that developer needs some help with a site plan, I'll be happy to
Okay,
um, provide that.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think Habitat, they're mostly already subdivided houses or lots on Crystal Street. There's like a bunch of little lots. One of them, I think, is a bigger lot that they'll subdivide into the same size as the others. The other smaller one is Cook Properties. They're actually doing the large single-family development in the town. That's kind of going through the process right now. But they're interested in, they do these prefab homes. They're interested in doing one-offs in the city, and this is kind of a start for them. It's a lot that can be subdivided.
Sure.
Their plan is to subdivide it into 3. I'd love to push them to make it 5. Other lots in the neighborhood are 50 feet wide. This lot is 200 feet wide. 4 would be exactly the same width as everything else. I'm not sure why they proposed 3, but my house is on a 40-foot lot.
Now, we
perfectly
changed the
happy.
code, right? It used to be 75 foot, right? Then we
The minimum now is 30.
oh, I went, okay, it was
Yeah.
50 once. I knew it was reduced.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
It is a good move to go less in a city like ours.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
not?
right. We're going for a walkable area. I mean, I would have loved to see townhouses there, and I'm gonna work. We own another lot across the street that will have lake views. I definitely think that one should be townhouses, but there hasn't been a lot of new investment in that area, and I think
sure.
Kickstarter.
That's all good.
This is good.
Good.
Just make sure they're a finished floor and the grade is up so that there's no standing water.
Yes.
It makes me crazy when I see new construction and they're too low.
Yeah,
Why not get it up in the air a little bit?
absolutely. Yeah, we should really be pushing to be above the 500 flood at this point with
Yeah.
what we're seeing.
As long as it's not up on a mountain,
Yeah.
not ridiculous. You can do certain things with waterproofing basements and having a way to discharge pumps, that kind of.
Yeah, they'll be all slab, no basements, because it's prefab. So they just drop on it.
Yeah, sure.
Which the other good thing about that is it's very quick.
Minimal disruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and most of these are gonna be stick built, correct? Because,
The Habitat homes would be stick built. Oh, the bigger project? Yes. So I would expect, they're both in the 5-story zone.
Right.
And so that usually means 1 or 2 floors of masonry and wood above.
So I know a lot of our steel comes out of Canada and with the
Yeah.
new tariffs, I'm just concerned,
Yeah,
so.
no, I would expect wood. That's kind of this kind of scale, everything is, they call them podium. So the first floor is cinder block and then it's wood. It's the most efficient, financially efficient. The other thing I wanted to note is there was a recent change in law that our attorney reviewed. I'm gonna update we don't need to update our bylaws, but we do need to update our application. We're required to now check with any project we fund that it's not having if it's creating a new demand for childcare, that they're also contributing something for childcare, or at least that we're considering the impacts on childcare. So just add a question to our application that says,
Sure.
will this impact childcare? So what do you do?
Okay. Makes sense. Do you have anything to report from the county before we go? You still want to discuss, have a brief executive session? Okay, before we go into executive session, do you have anything new and exciting? Or thank you for joining us and keeping, it's good for you to obviously hear what we're working on, but
As it gets closer, as you get closer with all those housing developments, the ad hoc committee would love to hear about them, just so they can see how it flowed through the process, and that way they can pass that information along to the other municipality. That's
Yeah.
kind of the space we're living in right now. It's a lot of housing all the time.
One of the really good things the city did is fixing the zoning that allows a project like this.
And that's what Tom's trying to take to everybody else.
Yeah.
And we've got more municipalities than we used to that are interested in learning what that means.
Mhm.
You know, when you talk of 30-foot or 50-foot, there's still villages that are way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't know exactly what that means. So we're trying to educate. IDA and ADC continue to be busy. And the strategic plan's kicking off as soon as I can get a date to match with the consultant that we can all agree on, and then we'll kick that off. So you will be involved in that, I'm sure. The consultant that we hired is Harrison Studios. And they're going to be interested in your vision and strategic planning documents, because they just want to make sure that everything kind of lines up. I want to make sure everything lines up. The end of this month, we will have what the utilities are calling a capacity summit. And this will be in Farmington for the Canandaigua substation customers. It's our Genie. I told them yesterday to not wait too long to do the NICEAG side of the county as well, because you guys will get jealous. But we need to know the information. So this one will be Farmington, Canandaigua, Hopewell, Bloomfield, Victor, I think. So I would look for that to happen on this side of the county soon, hopefully before the first half of the year.
David, as far as you know, we don't have that problem inside the city here, right? The capacity for the projects that you're mentioning, that last meeting, Ryan, we said how projects have been shut down because of the exorbitant cost of connect.
Yeah, all of those housing projects you just mentioned, I will pass along the residential energy intake form, have them fill it all out and send it back, and we'll keep it flowing.
Great.
Be a shame to go through all that and then hit a wall.
Yeah,
Yeah. Be good to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
right. There's the two questions, is the capacity and then the existence of the connection point. We certainly have the connection points here.
Sure.
We need to make sure we have
Capacity.
the capacity.
Yeah. There should be enough. I mean, I would think, but surprise happens, right?
Yeah.
Do we charge a connection fee for sewer and water laterals services?
So my understanding is that there isn't like a connect fee, but there's the cost of the connection. It's paid by the person putting in the lateral, but I don't think we have just a flat, $20,000 to connect, which is something that happens a lot of places.
Okay. I want to make it easy
Yeah.
for the city.
And
We need this to happen. If it's their opportunity to get it just to the right of way, and then
Mhm.
we connect to the main. I
Mhm.
don't know if I've seen that happen before.
Yeah, that's actually something that I've been wondering about with, so in the governor's budget, there's this fund that goes to counties, or the counties apply for, the counties can apply for either 500,000 or 1 million for infrastructure that serves new housing or infrastructure that's needed to unlock new housing. The county has a review process, so we can submit ideas. The county can only submit one project. And I think the county was very much hoping that the state would have like criteria about what they want. The state has yes or no criteria. It has to comply with certain things, like it has to be serving housing, it has to be public infrastructure. But it's not actually competitive at the state level because they put in funding to give $50 million. They gave $50 million. There's 52 counties. So if they all applied for the full million, then maybe it would be competitive, but there's no chance that's happening. A lot of places will only apply for half of it. A lot of places won't apply at all. But we can only put in one.
That's we were desperately hoping that the
Yeah.
state would give us guidance, and they chuckled and said, it's up to you.
So we don't want to step on the counties.
Yeah.
oh, no.
Actually, it doesn't necessarily have to be for housing. $500,000 for any economic development. $500,000 is the cap if there is no housing. If you have 10 or more houses or 10 or more units that would be created, then you can go for the full million. And it is absolute Hunger Games. So the county chairman Simpson sent out a letter to all of the supervisors week before last, with the scoring rubric of whatever group he puts together. I don't know who's going to be on it. I'm hoping that I'm sick that day. So
Yeah, it was last Friday, so I got that, and I want to look at the two bigger projects downtown, and there's another similar scaled project that's not on city-owned land that is in pre-development. So I think they said the county submits a project, but that can include multiple housing projects.
yes.
But it has to be kind of one thing.
One package.
So I
Yeah.
think the way that it'll work is the letter of intent will come in. We're going to, through our department, just share it with ESD and make sure that they match, after they whittle it down to the top 3 or 4 or whatever. And if we have, 3 that don't match and 1 that does, great, we have our winner. But if my guess is that all 4 will then, so then they'll have to go back and actually score it. But we're up against it because I think they have to be in April 1st, if I remember correctly.
It's very quick, yeah.
And the improvements to the sewer system,
The ATAD project?
yeah, that's pretty much for expansion, which should improve. Yeah,
Yeah.
so, we have the capacity there. That's not an
Yeah.
issue with that many.
As soon as
Units.
that's done, which it's in process.
It's in
As soon as
process,
that's done,
so
we'll have
that's
the
in sync, yeah.
capacity.
Something happened.
We'll have a lot of capacity. Which then is good to get more users on it, because we need to use that capacity.
Sure,
to pay for it.
exactly.
Can we
Exactly.
extend some of our sewer lines out to town lands?
We can, and we do. We actually currently serve, I think, 3 towns in 2 counties. And that's I think a big political thing, because it's complicated for people to understand the deals that work there. So we have a deal with the town of Geneva that gives them a certain amount of capacity, and they pay for that. And then they bill the user. So I think they own the pipes that are in the town, and they bill residents,
For that.
and they take the money. So we don't bill those residents. We get like a lump payment from the town
Yeah.
for an up to a certain amount of capacity. And then town of Geneva, actually, a line goes out of the town into, I think, Seneca, and they pay the town. So it's quite a complicated system. If it were up to me, we would create a sewer district that is managed by all of the users, and it would be much less of a political football, I think. But right now it's, we hear a lot from our elected folks about, oh, they should pay more, oh, we're paying too much.
Yeah.
We're working on a rate study right now that looks at, the rates that we charge people in the city, the rates that people pay outside of the city, the deals we have.
More equity.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we like to make a motion to go into an executive session. A really quick, brief executive session.
I move that we go into executive session.
Okay, and Catherine seconds it. Tell me when they're offline.
We gonna vote though?
We are.
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Sorry, I'm sorry.